Thank you very much, Rahul. I now have the privilege of introducing our commencement speaker, alumna Leslie Lewis. Leslie is a lecturer in the Urban Studies and Planning program and a visiting lecturer in the Department of Anthropology at UC San Diego. Over the course of her academic training and career, she has been the recipient of multiple awards for her teaching, writing, research, and student advising. In her courses, she tries to illuminate the broader systems, structures, ideologies, and policies that shape our experience of identity formation, well-being, illness and disability, aging, belongingness, and civic engagement. Dr. Lewis is deeply invested in the intellectual and emotional growth of her students, as well as in addressing real-world challenges and injustices. She works to create opportunities for students to connect with one another, with social change agents in local communities, and with global projects that have transformative potential. Her success in this arena is evident in her consistently high teaching evaluations and the praise and admirations of her students. She's also the founder and director of the Community Hope Project, a nonprofit, all-volunteer organization that fosters peace, justice, health, sustainable living, learning, and human flourishing in both local and international communities. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Leslie Lewis.
A little bit taller. Well, before I actually formally begin, let me say that this will be a speech in 4 parts. As a person who has a tendency to fall asleep in meetings and speeches, I think it's helpful to give people a framework, something to cling desperately to in the event that the speaker meanders off. This way, you can sort of keep track of progress. We all like to have a sense of control over the world, so to the extent possible, I'd like to help you maintain that illusion of control. So, part 1, celebration. I'd like to thank Dean Barrett, the staff of the Office of Graduate Studies, and the UCSD administration for the invitation to speak today. I am honored to be here. This is a crowd of individuals who have distinguished themselves, achieving heights of academic success only reached by a small percentage of the population. Congratulations, bravo, felicidades, mabruk. You've all demonstrated spark, determination, intelligence, tenacity, and endurance. And now you will be able to swagger around with a pocket full of cultural capital, these credentials from a prestigious research university. They are like a little calling card that announces to all that you might have something important to say. So, you have reason to be proud and absolute grounds for celebration. I recommend dancing with abandon, which, if you can just let yourself go, is just the purest form of joy. This is something we often do at my home, probably to the eye-rolling aggravation of our quiet neighbors, and definitely to the wonderment of many of our children's friends who might be visiting at the time. But we just turn up the music, and we get that boom, 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 we get that boom, boom, boom. So sing arias or hip-hop, do cartwheels, run across sandy beaches, or frolic through spring meadows as people in pharmaceutical and feminine hygiene commercials are wont to do. Any bodily expression of joy will do. Don't bottle it up. It's good for you and it's good for the world. And we've all got these mirror neurons in our brains just waiting for people around us to break into songs and smiles so that we might be induced to do the same. Part 2, gratitude and perspective. Milestones offer excellent opportunities to step back and contemplate not only the depths within yourselves that you had to draw on to complete your degree, but on the people, your parents, partners, children, advisors, mentors, and peers that were with you all the way. And also on the ways you may have been aided by opportunities and supports created by class position, race, gender, citizenship status, and other variables. We live in a cultural zeitgeist in which the dual ideologies of individualism and meritocracy combine to offer a narrative of success as arising out of tireless individual striving, of individual against all odds. But of course we know that where we end up in life is not solely defined by our individual talents and efforts. We are deeply influenced by our broader socioeconomic and cultural context, by the luck of where we land at birth. We are affected by the people and messages that populate our worlds, whether good, bad, or indifferent. We know that all of this powerfully shapes our self-perception, our sense of self-efficacy, and our notions of what is possible. There's no doubt that you all worked exceptionally hard to earn your degrees or that you brought sharp, creative minds to the task. But it seems important for all of us to, it seems important for all of us that even as we enjoy and take pride in our individual achievements, we remain cognizant of the cultural and structural factors, systems of inequality based on race, class, gender, homophobia, ableism, xenophobia, that for some foster and for others can derail academic and economic achievement. Only when we acknowledge, deconstruct, and understand these realities can we become wise architects of a society in which all members can flourish and succeed. Part 3, stepping up. We are all part of a rich and rather remarkable species, but one which faces significant challenges: climate change, conflict and violence, gross economic and social inequalities, health disparities. As you move forward, find a way to integrate into your professional life efforts to address some of these challenges. Do not put off participating in worthwhile projects and adventures until after I establish myself. Do it now. Do it always. You can do more than you realize, and your efforts will have an effect. Sometimes in ways that are obvious to you, sometimes in ways that are outside of your awareness. I believe that we all have the capacity to act at multiple levels, whether at the individual, interpersonal level, or at levels of community and policy. We can interrupt injustice, be a salve to suffering. We can bring light, laughter, touch, and kindness to someone who is in pain. Sometimes my kids come home troubled with stories of playground politics and victimization. These generally involve a mean kid and a victim, some child who is unlucky enough to be targeted. After talking about the possible motives of the aggressor and what pain or insecurity that child might be harboring, I ask what everyone else was doing. They usually respond that it was a sort of a small crowd of silent, rapt witnesses, and they usually haven't thought about what might have been the potential feelings of the bystanders. So I say, what if a lot of those kids were as unhappy and uncomfortable as you were, and they just didn't have the courage to speak up? Speaking up is hard. It is a risk. You might lose your social standing, your friends, any semblance of coolness you might have cultivated. So we know why people don't speak up. But this is the danger of silence and inaction. It enables others to presume our acquiescence and complicity. I tell them, I'm glad you are not the victim, and I know you won't ever be that kid who is intentionally mean to another child, but this is equally important. Do not be one of those kids that stands by. And here I'll insert that this is true for all of us, our whole lives, as we face or witness adult versions of those bullies or policies and politics that harm vulnerable people. Do not be one of those people who passively stands by as cruelty unfolds, whether petty cruelty or cruelty on a grand scale. Be that person who pipes up instead, who reframes the story, who offers an out, or who at least lets others know that someone is willing to stand up for justice and kindness. Often it takes just a single courageous soul to take a risk, and it opens up space for something different. Maybe that bully thinks twice the next time. Maybe some other people in the crowd are emboldened enough to say, yeah, knock it off. At the very least, you've held out a lifeline of hope and solidarity to someone who feels all alone. Achieving any of these aims is worthwhile. We are all part of creating a cultural climate. That climate is like a baseline out of which larger events become possible and likely. The trick is to create the conditions that foster the right things. We want to encourage and normalize habits of respect, decency, perspective-taking. We want to, rather than those of apathy, narcissism, and intolerance. One of the most profound and transformative things you can do is to apply your talents and energy to a person or purpose outside of yourself. Shifting attention from our own needs to the needs of others can jolt us out of complacency, doldrums, even despair. We human beings are deeply social, and we have a driving need for connection, to community, to a sense of purpose, something larger than ourselves, to something powerful that transcends the everyday. Maya Angelou, a light who recently passed from this world, said, "Life is not measured by the number of breaths we take, but by the moments that take our breath away." About 4 years ago, when I was still shiny from having earned my own doctorate in anthropology here at UCSD, I started an organization called the Community Hope Project. The catalyst was a pen-pal relationship between my oldest daughter and a little girl in Sierra Leone, West Africa. As I got to know this girl, her family, and the members of the community where she lived, I learned about their lives and the challenges and privations they faced. Now, we hear about these things in the abstract all the time, but they take on new meaning when you become connected to the individuals who are affected by them. I began talking with my primary contact in that community, and through him, through others, he was the connection to the elders and the mothers and everyone, about all the things we might work together to achieve. Build a school, a community garden, start adult literacy classes, all these grand hopes we conjured over email late at night after my grading was done and my kids were in bed. And it was after about 2 months of this glorious planning that the panic set in. I realized with terror that the entire community had come to believe that I was going to be able to make all this happen. The pressure and expectations were nearly overwhelming. There I was, a lecturer, a job I love, but a job that is fundamentally insecure. I was teaching at 3 colleges to make ends meet. I was the mother of 4 children, all of whom needed my time and care. And my husband and I were both working morning to night, but still hovering just above the poverty line. I could barely hold it all together myself, and a whole community had pinned its hopes on me. I realized I could not do it alone, so I sent out an email to friends, family, and about 600 former students and asked if anyone wanted to help. The response was amazing, and I was utterly heartened. So a group of committed, hardworking, creative people, nearly all students, have been working with me ever since, and we have accomplished a great deal. A solar-powered community center with primary school, adult literacy classes, meeting space for the 3 new community-based organizations that formed out of the partnership, a successful microloan program, educational scholarships, a water filtration project, and funding streams that are slowly enabling the community to become financially self-sustaining. This fall, we're starting a local youth ambassador project that will connect the local with the global. It's been a wonderful project, but it has not been seamless. I did not have any experience in creating a nonprofit organization, so I was flying by the seat of my proverbial pants. We've made mistakes along the way, and we keep learning. It is a work in progress, but it has also been one of those endeavors from which everyone involved has benefited. Bellies, souls, and minds have all been filled by our collective efforts. The point is that you don't need any special expertise to make a difference, and you don't have to, nor should you, do it alone. We need the talents and energies of people from across the spectrum, across disciplines, generations, and communities. Think along the lines of biodiversity and cultural diversity. We know we are enriched and strengthened by variation, so we need to cultivate energy and idea-versity as well. So cross-fertilize, open your minds to diverse ideas, talk to people from all walks of life, and remember that learning almost never goes one way. As Bill Nye, the science guy, said, everyone you will ever meet knows something you don't. Respect their knowledge and learn from them. Part 4. Hang with me here. Now, I know that the commencement speeches are serious things and that we should give this day the gravity it deserves, but in our lives, gravity should be balanced out by levity, and perhaps at this point you're thinking brevity too, but bear with me one more minute. We all need laughter, music, and play in our lives. It ignites our creativity. And so it is time for what I hope will become an honored UCSD tradition, commencement rap. Now, there are probably few things more amusing and simultaneously more cringeworthy as a middle-aged white woman rapping on a commencement stage in a gown. But I'm going to take my own advice and allow myself to be both vulnerable and to have some fun. Now, to help me and you bear this cringe burden, I will speak and rap in a foreign accent. Now, this is a really handy strategy for any situation. I've used it on cantankerous 3-year-olds, sleepy college students, and surprise boards of directors. If you can create a changing accent, you can create a climate of perpetual surprise that distracts, alarms, and delights people into paying attention. It's also a useful strategy as a psychological ploy to shift the responsibility for potentially embarrassing moments like these onto some alter persona, which can be an important ego-protective move. That wasn't me. Do I sound like some crazy Brit? I don't think so. OMG. So maybe you can use a German accent if you want people to straighten up and pay attention. I use this in my classes a lot. You could switch to a southern accent to try to put people at ease, kind of relax the situation. You could do a Scottish brogue or an Irish lilt. You could switch to a Spanish accent. You could turn yourself into a Russian babushka or something like that. You get the idea. So I will start, as I start in many of my classes, with a beatbox, and I will need some help from you to keep it going. A boom boom ch, a boom boom ch, a boom boom ch, a boom boom ch. So now it is time to get out there. You've got your degree and you've done your hair. You're like a teeny weeny segment of the population that's achieved the highest level of education. Don't forget to notice the supports along the way, your advisors, all the funding, and your family. As you leap into the world stacked with theory, skills, and plans, once you finish hugging and thanking all your fans, remember to share your talents with others and to listen and learn from kids and grandmothers. Mentor students just coming along. Cross-fertilize your brain to keep it strong. Dance like a vila. Laugh out loud. Challenge yourself to step away from the crowd. Fight for justice and equality, because we're all a part of humanity. You're all bright and shining stars, so light up the sky, but always give back so that others might fly. Be the change you want to see in the world. Let all the possibilities unfurl. Free your mind. Don't be constrained by churls. Make a good life for every boy and girl. Congratulations to you all.